Most people try to build their whole farm at once. They borrow more than they can pay back. They copy a layout they saw in a video, and a year later they're standing in the middle of a half-finished farm with an empty bank account, wondering where it went wrong. The most profitable small acres in America aren't built that way. They're built in phases, where each phase pays for the next one, so you can start with almost nothing and let the farm fund its own growth. Start it wrong all at once, and it costs you years and money you didn't have to spend. This is the complete journey, 1 acre, from bare dirt to a farm that pays for itself, 10 phases, and the phase that turns the whole thing from a farm that feeds you into a farm that pays you is the one almost nobody plans for. We'll get to it. But only if you build the first 9 in the right order. Here's the reframe that changes everything. A farm is not a piece of land you fill with crops. A farm is a system where the waste from one part becomes the feed for the next, and nothing is ever bought twice. You don't build a system by buying everything on day one. You build it one phase at a time, and you let each phase earn the money for the one after it. Let's build it. 1. Phase 1. Water and energy before anything else. Nothing on your acre works without water. Your first dollars go to a well, a pond, or, cheapest of all, rainwater capture off any roof you already have. Set this up first, because in the dry months it's the difference between a farm and a dust patch. Then energy. Solar has a high upfront cost, but it runs your pump and your lights for decades at almost no running cost. Here's the part most people skip: cost share. The USDA's NRCS, the Natural Resources Conservation Service, runs a program called EQIP that pays part of the bill on wells, irrigation, and converting unused land into working ground. That money is sitting there. Most people never walk into their local extension office to ask. You should. The pitfall in Phase 1 is sizing for the farm you have today instead of the farm in Phase 10. Lay the pipe and the panel capacity for where you're going, because the next decision determines where every drop of that water flows. Phase 2. Set your goal, then divide the land. Answer one question honestly before you touch the soil. Do you want income this week, income in 10 years, or both? Your answer changes the whole layout. Most people want both, and that means you zone the acre on paper first. Where does the road go? Where does water drain? Where do the animals sit, upwind or down? Where do the crops grow? Where does storage go? And how does each piece feed the next? This is the part the channel exists for, laying it out as a system, not a list. The pitfall here is the cheapest mistake to avoid and the most expensive to fix: building structures before you've mapped the flows, then tearing them out a year later. Plan it once, then prepare the ground. Phase 3. Land prep and soil. Your empty acre probably has brush, scrub, maybe a few trees. Critical: do not cut valuable hardwoods or fruit trees. A mature mango, oak, or walnut took decades to grow, and you will not get it back. They aren't obstacles, they're assets you already own. Clear only what blocks the plan, and sell the usable wood. Small cash, clean ground. Now the single most important $50 you'll spend: a soil test. Your county extension office processes them cheaply, and it tells you exactly what your dirt is missing instead of guessing. Then study your local market, not the national one. What does the nearest town actually buy? Start there. For fencing, skip the expensive perimeter wall. Not yet. Use low-cost living fence, hedgerow plants along the border that double as fruit and forage later. And plant your slow commercial and fruit trees now, this season, because trees only get more valuable, and every year you delay is a year of income you'll never get back. Then split the working ground into 3 sections. Phase 4. The first 3 sections, your first income. Section 1. 1 cow. A hardy local breed, not an expensive imported one. Low cost, easy to manage, suited to your climate. And your priority here isn't milk, it's manure. In the early years, manure is the most valuable thing on the farm, because it feeds everything that grows. Grow a fast forage like a perennial grass to feed her. Section 2. A small test plot. Think of it as your research department. You try crops in a small way here because not every crop will work in your soil, and finding that out on a quarter of a bed costs you almost nothing, while finding it out on a full acre costs you a season. Section 3. Short-term vegetables and a staple grain. This is your income security. Local varieties grown in their natural season rarely fail, and this section pays your bills while the slow money, the trees, the livestock, matures. Grow vegetables in the gaps between your young trees while they're still small and casting no shade. According to USDA data, small farms under roughly 50 acres can produce far more dollar value per acre than large operations, not by working harder, but by stacking enterprises on the same ground like this. Now you reinvest that vegetable money, slowly and smartly. Phase 5. Smart, low-cost additions. 3 things, all cheap, all high impact. Bees, low investment, and they raise the yield of everything flowering nearby while making a sellable product. A few goats, they multiply fast, clear brush you can't use, and produce excellent manure. And vermicomposting, worms that turn your animal waste and crop scraps into the richest fertilizer you can make, which means you stop buying it. One rule, take the free training first. Your extension service and groups like SARE, the USDA's Sustainable Agriculture Research and Education Program, and ATRA, run by the National Center for Appropriate Technology, publish this for free, don't pay for it. And the pitfall almost everyone hits here, don't add chickens yet. At this stage, they'll tear through the vegetable beds that are funding everything. Instead, plant their feed now, mulberry, comfrey, a fast protein hedge, so it's mature when they arrive, which is the next phase. Phase 6. Bring in the livestock. Now the chickens earn their place. Eggs, meat, and manure, 3 income streams from one animal. Here's a space trick worth its weight. Build a raised goat shelter and put the chicken roost directly underneath it. 2 animals, 1 footprint, and the chickens work the dropped bedding. Only now, once the cash is steady, do you upgrade the cow to a higher producing breed if you want milk volume. Good breeds are expensive, no rush, and if you have more manure than your beds can use, sell it. Composted manure has a real market, other growers will pay for it. By now, your test plot has given you real data. You know what works in your soil, your climate, your market, so you scale up only the crops that prove themselves. Up to this point, one person plus an occasional helper runs the whole thing. That's the model working. By around year 5, it starts to compound. Phase 7. Value addition, where the margins live. Raw produce has thin margins. Processed products have real ones. This is the phase that changes your numbers. Build a small processing space and cold storage, and check NRCS and your state specialty crop grants, because some of this is cost shared too. Cold storage alone means you sell when the market is high, instead of dumping at harvest when everyone else does. Milk becomes cheese and butter. Honey becomes pores and wax, and mushrooms, grown on the very crop waste you are throwing away, carry some of the best margins in small agriculture, which is exactly why Penn State and Cornell's small farm programs teach them. Add a drying area for herbs and spices. Penn State Extension's work on value-added products is blunt about the why. The same pound of produce can be worth several times more once you've turned it into something. Soften that to your own market, but the direction is always up. Phase 8. Efficiency and yield. Now you tighten the system. A pond lined with a heavy plastic liner instead of concrete, far cheaper, gives you fish and irrigation water in one. A simple greenhouse gives you high-value crops on a small footprint at a premium price, out of season. This is the phase where you'll likely take on one regular hire, because the farm is now producing more than 2 hands can manage. That's a good problem. It's funded. Phase 9. Energy independence, the loop closes. This is the closed loop moment the whole channel is about. You put solar across the rooftops you already built, and your running costs drop toward nothing. Then you build a biogas digester, a sealed tank where manure breaks down without air and gives off gas you can burn for cooking or power, and the leftover slurry. It feeds straight into your vermicompost. Nothing leaves the farm as waste. Every output becomes another part's input. The acre now powers itself and fertilizes itself. That's not a slogan, it's a balance sheet with most of the bills crossed out. Fondautage beamed. Phase 10, the flip almost nobody plans for. Here's the phase that turns a farm into something bigger. You've spent 9 phases building a beautiful, productive, self-funding acre. Now you open it, a guest stay, a small farm cafe. Fonatiforaxidia, agritourism, and it's not a fringe idea. The USDA's own Census of Agriculture has tracked farm tourism income climbing for years because city families who've never touched a fruit tree or stood next to a cow will pay to. When you sell vegetables, a middleman sets the price. When you sell the experience of your farm, you set the price and you keep the margin. You're no longer just a grower. The same acre, the same work, but now the land sells a story, not just a crop. That's the phase that flips a farm that feeds you into a farm that pays you. Nothing here happens overnight. This is 20 years and 10 phases, and the only thing you actually need to start is the willingness to begin on the land you have, with the budget you have, at the pace you can manage. You can scale it, half an acre, 2 acres, 5. But 1 good acre, built in the right order, is enough to make it real. If you've got a small piece of land and you want it to carry its own weight, subscribe. A new closed-loop blueprint every week, and the next build scales this whole system up to 5 acres. Tell me in the comments which phase you're standing in right now. Most people try to build their whole farm at once. You won't. 1 acre, 10 phases, each one paying for the next.